Alright, so welcome back to Sunday live streams. We're doing this live in Discord, but I'm also recording this for YouTube, so if you're on the YouTube, feel free to check out the description and join our Discord so you could watch this live. When we do post it on YouTube, it is delayed, so if you want these setups before they trigger, you should probably join the server. But in any case, if you're unfamiliar with how the weekly watch list goes, basically I have a set list of names I want to get through, but for you guys in the live stream, you guys are always free to type in chat or send me a DM just of what you want to see or what you think. Also give some basic broad market analysis and then just other stuff I'm looking at. And then, of course, Q&A at the end is always a thing. I like to keep this pretty relaxed, pretty open form, so if you guys ever want to say something, go for it. You can unmute your mic, I don't really care. Just don't do it while I'm speaking, so that's just going to ruin my train of thought. But yeah, we could get started. So as for our list of potential plays, Apple is definitely on the list. Just because it's big tech, we saw it come back. We just got through earnings and dividends. We're all straight there. I'm really looking for a break above this 1925 level, because this would be the top of the gap here as well as the top of the gap here. A break above that will just give it a lot more momentum to break at these upper levels, which are serving as price targets too. But really, the price target is a bit more arbitrary. Once we break this nice level here, that's just allowing more buyers to step in and allow us to push further up. As for significance, I'd say this 123 level, 123 to 125 level, that's a pretty big supply zone. Supply zone meaning there's a lot of resistance there. A lot of sellers are going to step in. So I would watch out for that. But other than that, Apple looks pretty strong going into this week. A lot of big tech does, so that's not a surprise. But Apple in particular, just because it's a staple, just because it hasn't really been performing all that well lately, it does look like it's setting up for a pretty decent long. Next is Baidu. I really only have this here to show how we finally broke this range that we were building, and then we just pulled up even more. So I do think it has more range to all-time highs here. I'm mostly scaled out of this, though, just because we did see that break, and earnings is coming up. I don't really feel too comfortable holding this one through earnings, so probably going to sell all the way out beforehand, but most of the profit's already been collected on this one. It's more of just a review of what we were looking at and why it triggered. Beyond is probably the biggest play I'm looking at getting into. They report earnings tomorrow after hours, so whether I get in before then, we'll see, I guess. But this setup is fantastic. It looks exactly like the setup we played earlier in the year, where we got this absolutely disgusting 60, 70 point move here. That was crazy. So we're hoping to catch something like that again. Really watching this little top trend resistance here and this bottom support. I'd like to see a little bit more consolidation here before entering, but honestly where it's at right now is not the worst entry point, so I'll be looking at that one tomorrow or for the rest of this week for sure. Next is CGC. We did play this one, got that nice little flag break, massive uptick. I think we sold this one for 250% or something, but I'm looking actually to size back into it, because if we come back down, test the top of this flag, that actually lines up with this resistance right here. If I just throw the level on real quick. If I just throw this on, it actually lines up with the top of the flag here. So if we do see a revisit to that area, I'll definitely look to take more long positions. Other than that, though, a break above 24.37 again should send it towards all-time highs. But that would be more of a day trade or a scalp trade than a swing. Next is NEM. This one, again, I just have on here as a review. If you entered with me, we caught the bottom over here. We just rode it all the way up. Again, mostly scaled off this hit right here, off this 68.70 level, just because it's shown prior resistance there multiple times in the past. We pulled it around there. NVIDIA, I alerted this one for you guys just because it looked super, super strong on Friday. We're hoping to sort of ride this into Monday, not only just as a solid stock, as a solid setup. I'm in CWH too, MK, but yeah. As a solid setup, but also just because we have ER run up, and we're coming up on all-time highs here. Whether we break all-time highs, that's more depending on broad market. Right now, futures is doing pretty solid. So I think that's definitely a possibility coming in Monday, which is why we swung those calls, even though the theta was kind of high on those. And just to talk about the NVIDIA trade for a bit, I sent out an alert to sell a bit of it pretty early in the trade, and that was to cover the weekend theta that we were about to face. So we sold those at, it was like a 60 or 70 profit or something, and that covered the theta for some of our contracts for over the weekend. So even though we were trading through the weekend, trading with heavy theta, we still made sure to account for that by taking some profits early. Now, if you don't really have the ability to take multiple contracts and take profits early, this isn't really an option to you, which is why I stress very much about these delta to theta ratios, about playing contracts with longer expirations. But that was just sort of an example of what you can do once you have a little bit of a bigger account and how you could sort of adapt to what's going on in the market. Anyway, back to the list. Next up I have is pins. This is really just an early watch. It is setting up to go back up and test this like 68, 69 level. Once we get there, excuse me, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my screen. Once we get there, we probably see like more retracements, 70, 71, 75. 75 is probably going to be a pretty big resistance point just because of how fast the stock is growing. I still believe in this one very, very much on a fundamental level and a technical level. I think pins can see 100 within the next year again. I think that would be super easy for it to do. My actual prediction is probably around February or March, but again, timeline's arbitrary. If you don't have equity in this, I don't really know what you're doing. We started playing this way down here at these 20 levels, even at these like lower 20 levels. We just played this all the way up. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, this has been a good one. And hopefully it'll continue to be. Again, just watching for this break of all-time highs before we do anything. Or if it builds structure, we see a nice little wedge forming. Play that as well. The Qs, I just wanted to point out this one little line. When we sort of came back up mid-October and then just absolutely fell again, this little fall that we have here, that's, in my opinion, the market sort of pricing in all this elections and stimulus news that we were getting. And even though like the market was pricing in a Biden win, now that everything's over and we could return to a normal market, investors are clearly very happy about that. So what I'm really looking at here, another test of this line would be fine, but I'm really looking for a pull away above this little 297 area, 298, and just enter this little technical gap here. Technical gap meaning it's just the wick covering it. So if we enter this little technical gap, I think we'll see all-time highs very, very soon. SPY, nothing to really point out here. Again, you could draw the same line on this one. It looks fine. We don't have any technical gaps here, so it's a little bit weaker, I guess, but again, broad market is looking very, very well right now, especially with the movement we're getting in futures currently. TLT, what we're liking about TLT is that it looks pretty weak. It tested this upper resistance and failed. It's even below our little 13 EMA here. So we're looking for a bottom channel retest on this one for sure. And since TLT generally trades inverse market, that makes sense because broad market is looking very, very strong. TME, again, we're sized pretty heavily into this one. I know Trace has like a 2022 trade going on this one. I have the 1120s. I'm really playing this ER run up here, and I'll be holding most of them up until ER. I'm probably going to hold those 16 calls through just because they are so cheap, cost basis is covered, and risk is minimal. And we're still collecting profit on those 15s, so I'm good with sort of letting those ride into earnings. I don't really have an opinion on their earnings, though. Like, it's not like Pins, it's not like Roku or Square where I knew they were going to do well. This one's more up in the air, so we'll see where we sort of land on that. And then the last thing on our list for today is Tesla. Got this nice little wedge formation and little channel above that it broke out of. So if we could sort of just consolidate here, knock out this 440 level. This 440 level has been pretty important technically, but also psychologically. So if we burst up this 440 level, we're also breaking this little top trendline resistance here. Now this top trendline is relatively weak. We have a touch here and a touch here, but a touch here was overextended, and a touch here was with the market. So a break of this should be relatively easy as long as we see backing again from broad market. A break of this sort of area here, again, I'll probably be looking at 465 and then 480 for eventual price targets. Again, but this would be a monthly trade, a monthly contract trade, and I know a lot of you do not have a lot of money to sort of just throw everything into Tesla monthly contract. So we'll be looking for more scalp opportunities on this just to give you guys something, but I'll probably be taking a monthly contract on this just because it's setting up so well. I'm going to check chat real quick. Neo? Yeah, sure, we could do Neo. That's it for my list, so again, if you guys want to start throwing tickers you want to look at in chat, that's completely fine. Or if there's something you want to talk about from the past. I'm just going to talk about a couple things before I get into the requests, but I just want to give you guys an opportunity to put that in. So again, if we pull up the SPY, I've sort of brought this up when we were talking about the Qs, but this little pullback here, that's pricing in a Biden win, that's pricing in stimulus volatility. That's everything we were sort of seeing for that last like half a month, and now that all that's over, we're allowed to sort of pull up again and go through, because really nothing changed on a company level, and as long as Republicans still control the Senate, the Democrats cannot sweep elections. And that's very, very good because that means that the stock market can just keep behaving as normally. There's not going to be any heavy regulations passed just because the Senate will be able to block it. But beyond politics, as far as institutional buying goes, actually, I didn't check that yet. I'm going to check that really quick. But yeah, you guys can start throwing in those chart recommendations. Yeah, okay, so insider buying is coming up from recent lows. Not insider, excuse me, institutional buying is coming up from recent lows. And the way you can sort of track that is just looking at nominal dark pool nominal dark pool value over the past couple of days. And you'll be able to see some sort of trend forming, the same way you see trends forming on stocks. You'll be able to see a trend form with how institutions are buying. And since we're seeing a nice little increase here, both in slope and in just nominal value, that's how you sort of know that institutional faith is sort of returning to the market a little bit. Institutions are not able to trade like us. They're not able to take full positions instantly without suffering like heavy trade costs. So you're going to see institutional buying more flat than you would see on a normal retail trader, just because they have to size into positions properly. Okay. Sorry, I just got a ping. Yeah, Neo. You can look at Neo. Oh, just real quick before we do that. We played SQ, Roku, Z, and Net through earnings and on Friday. All those hit because they are strong fundamentally. They are not affected by coronavirus, and they just have solid technicals all around. Again, we're getting a lot of messages in member chat just asking like, oh, any more lottos, any more lottos. When I have a lotto to take, I'll let you guys know. When it's one I believe in, I'll let you guys know. But if you're asking me to find one, that's probably not going to happen just because when you start looking for something like that, the area for you to choose one that's not going to do well increases drastically. So I will give lottos from time to time, but I'm not going to just pull one out because someone asked. Like, I am looking for them, but I can only really give them to you when there's something to give. And that's it on that. And that's why I brought up Beyond and why I brought up Roku and SQ. And yeah, so we'll see how those play out. But anyway, back to Neo. Again, you can't really chart anything here. We're flagging up, sure. If anything, you can do some nice little like supports and resistance. But where we're at right now is a little too uncharted. If you want to even go to a lower time frame, the 30-minute, zoom out a little bit. Even still, you still can't see too much structure forming here. Using after hours, you could draw a nice little support line here, like here. Forget our trend line. Just pull this out here, and then that's like okay, but I don't expect that to hold at all. Like, that's not strong enough for me to take a day trade on. Bull flag on Friday, 5-minute. I don't use the 5-minute for swings. 5 minutes way too unreliable for swings, in my opinion. Especially for the weekend. I would wait for it to get more structure on Monday. You treat each week as its separate entity. Alright, MKE, since you're not a member, I'm only going to do CWH. What are we looking at? Oh yeah, I did chart this one out. Yeah, it looks solid. I was looking for a 25 sort of visit so I could add to it. I have equity in this, not a large position by any means, but yeah. If you want to chart it out further, like we could draw the wedge line here, but some things are just easier to see, so you don't have to make your chart crowded. But yeah, if we see a 25 visit, I'll definitely add way more to this position. I like it a lot, but not enough to size into it just yet. Alright, so anything else you guys are looking at? Oh, I'll do play, MKE, because I am in play. And if you want to zoom out here, wedge break, held, going to start to pull up soon. Pretty easy to see technically. Again, you could do levels on this, but really if you're just looking for growth, just set your alerts and then you'll know when. So if you want to do here, here, whoops, here, and then as a shorter term one right here, and then there, those are your levels that you could play off of. SE you wanted to do? SE is at like all-time highs right now. Yeah, you can't really play SE like from the daily chart too much just because it is pulling away. Even this channel was sort of invalidated here. I love SE though. Again, that's a huge equity play that I have. Alright, so it looks like those are all the tickers. You guys have any questions on anything we were doing the past couple weeks? Anything you want to talk about?
What about Apple?
What'd you say?
Apple.
Yeah, we did Apple at the start. We're looking for a break above this 1925 level.
Okay, bet.
I'm going to look at this too much, though, but you can do that.
I just have a question on how do you identify supply and demand zones?
The same way you identify support and resistance. Calling it a supply and demand zone is really just areas of support and resistance. So, like, if we get the box tool out, if we do something like this, and you want to draw, like that's kind of big for a zone, but you do it like that, as how you would how I've seen it charted, like conventionally, and then this would be a demand zone, so areas of pretty strong support.
Yeah,
it's really just a zone. It's a way to refer to a zone of support or resistance.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, looks like we're all straight. So, PayPal, yeah, sure. Yeah, I was looking at PayPal when they missed their earnings before. Yeah, it looks like they recovered completely, actually. PayPal is really strong right now just because of the environment that we're in. This whole online quarantine, but government is now like fine sort of scenario. Leaves it open for things like PayPal, things like SQ to do very, very well, because people are still going to be sort of operating the way they normally would. So this whole corona universe that everyone else is living in, PayPal and SQ are kind of immune to the effects of it. So it allows them to grow at a faster rate than, or with less sort of restrictions than other companies do. Technically, I don't really see anything short term if you're looking for a trade. If you really want to force something, you could probably take a long over the 209 level. I'd be okay with that. But yeah, nothing too strong here. If it's just equity that you're looking at, beautiful, beautiful company. But as far as options are concerned, we really need to take the time frame into account. So I try to only get in when the setup is very, very presentable. Party, one of my friends is like super deep into this. Was it Party City? Yeah. Actually looks alright. I mean, I don't know how much you could really chart out here, but these wicks are way too long. I hate trading stocks under $5. So this really isn't anywhere in my expertise. Oh, they report on Monday? They report tomorrow morning. Wow, okay. I guess if you are looking at it, again, I'd look over the shorter term 250 level. Above that, it has a lot more room to play around. But we saw this little like head and shoulders pattern sort of fall down, so that's weakness. But I guess this was also during the time where the market was coming down. Let's take a little bit closer look here. Oh. Alright, I'm actually going to do more research into this one, because one of my friends is pretty deep into this too. Alright, we'll see what earnings is on Monday. I'll keep you guys updated on that. AMD? Sure thing. Oh wow, AMD. Nice couple of days. So we saw this little head and shoulders pattern here against this 87 level, and against this sort of, the top of the gap, this 74-ish level as the neckline. We saw that hold, which is very, very good. That's very, very good strength. So if we draw this wedge out here, let's draw it conservatively. It is kind of, these gaps I don't really like too much, like the tech gap here and then the faux gap here. I don't like that too much, so if it want to take a little bit more of a test here, a little bit more of a break in between breaking this 87, I'd like that a lot. Then I'd be a lot more comfortable taking a long, because right now you're just playing off momentum, and AMD has not done very well at these sort of upper levels here, as you can see just from past performance. So if it cooled off a bit, I'd like it a lot more. Yeah. So yeah, if it cooled off a bit, I'd like it a lot more just for general health. But yeah, I like AMD a lot. AMD is very, very good, and it moves along with NVIDIA, which I really, really like right now too. So that's it for this Sunday live stream. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember to check the description for our Discord link so you could come on in and watch this live. Again, that's all I wanted to talk about today, so I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you at the Open tomorrow.